Todd, you're now 22 years old, but you've been racing since when? You were 11 years old?
Yeah, it's been quite a while now, and all in all, it's proven to be the right thing.
But you started racing on what, tiny little pop-pop motorcycles, really?
Yeah, it was a bit different to what we're riding nowadays. It was little 80cc engines and racing around a scrambler track, and a whole lot different to what we're doing today, and nowhere near as powerful.
Graduated onto the proper conventional 500cc speedway racing machines?
It wasn't until, I think, 1986. It was about 6 years after I first started racing bikes, and I really got the taste of the real power, and you know, it's very exciting.
Of course, this is in your native New South Wales?
Yeah, that's correct, yeah.
And I know early in your career you had an influential sponsor who really was a mentor in Sven Gali to you.
Yeah, it was a shame. I sort of retired and the money ran out back home. We didn't have enough to keep coming and to progress to England. But then I had a late sponsor, a bloke called Les Northam, and he backed me with 2 new bikes each year. And he was coming to me of England in 1988 to help me over my career. And he was tragically killed in an industrial accident 2 weeks prior.
But you still made the journey. I mean, that was a real adventure for you.
Yeah, it was the best thing I ever done. I again nearly retired, but his widow now, Kate Northam, encouraged me to come back to England, or sorry, to continue go to England. I didn't really want to without Les, but she advised me to. That was the thing he wanted me to do, and here I am now.
So when you first came to Britain to race in 1988 on a proper contract, now that was for the Wimbledon club in London in the National League.
Yeah, it was, you know, I got my opportunity with the Wimbledon club. I picked the Wimbledon club over the various clubs. It's a very professional setup there, good publicity and a very good track, and very handy to where I was living, so everything sort of fitted into place. So
you were always, obviously had an eye towards the promotional side of and the publicity side of Speedway right from day one?
Yeah, I think that helps, you know. It helps get your name out in the light, and helps you in your career in the future.
So the man to look out for is Todd Wiltshire, who scorched around to a maximum here last time. And he jet propelled start from the inside for Wiltshire. Is Andy Hines in second place, and the skipper of the Monty Dons, Roger Johns, he's in third. As for Todd Wiltshire, he finds himself right up there at the top end of the National League averages this year. We've spoken to Todd on several occasions, and he said that if he could get his average up to 10 points, he'd be delighted. And that's exactly what he's sitting on at the moment. So he leads it. Andy Hines in second place. Andy celebrating his testimonial meeting here at Elfield Park in just 7 days from now. And he's got some fine opposition from British League tracks. He's even got the world champion, Hans Nielsen, here, all paying tribute to Andy. And that's just a week away. However, back to tonight, and it's Todd Wiltshire who leads it with Hines in second place and Roger Johns in third.
But the World Championship is the dream of every speedman, but in fact 1990 was your first year you've ever officially competed.
Yeah, that's right. It's been quite a while, but I finally got there, and through the help of James Easter, and you know, it was a struggle. I missed the first round of the World Championship in the Australian final due to other reasons, my sister's wedding and stuff, and I had James Easter who believed in me, and I really made it impossible for him to select me by riding good prior to the selection. So yeah, it was my first year.
So James was the Australian team manager. Officially, you were out of the championship, but he managed to get you reseeded and back in through the back door.
Yeah, really. There's no actually a rule that I couldn't be put through to the Commonwealth final. Just a few people back home didn't really like the idea that I didn't ride in the previous qualifying round, but I made it pretty hard for James not to select me, and you know, I thank him a lot, and he gave me that opportunity that I needed.
What do you think of the Australian authorities and their decision to try and leave you out?
Well, it was a little bit funny. I don't really understand it. I'm a long way from home over here, but there was a few people out there that didn't want me to go in for the reasons that I didn't ride in the Australian final. But I would have thought they'd be behind me the whole way and give me the opportunity. And at the time, I was going better than the rest of the boys. So
it would be fair to say that you've justified your selection and James Easter's faith, and you have shown those authorities who doubted your ability exactly what you can do.
Yeah, that's correct. You know, I got the opportunity and I took it with 2 hands, and that was always my main aim.
And of course, when you go back, you realise that you are going to be a target even more so than in the past.
Yeah, it's going to be very exciting when I go back to home, my own shore. It's going to be very exciting, and I'm looking forward to it, and just to see what sort of outcome there is when I get back home.
Now, in your first round of the championship here in Europe, you finished well up on 10 points, which surprised a lot of people. What was your reaction to that?
Well, it did surprise me a little bit too. I was very nervous on the day. It was my first World Championship qualifier, the Commonwealth final, and 10 points was very good to me, and that sort of built my encouragement up for the next round, the overseas final.
Now, what?
The action continues then to heat number 3. Jeremy Doncaster from the inside. Todd Wiltshire off to England, Simon Cross 3, and Troy Butler, last year's world finalist, on the outside, and it is a good one for Todd Wiltshire, the Reading 4X racer. Many people surprised that he's even in this meeting at all. All sorts of fun and games during the winter in Australia. He was unable to ride in his own round of the World Championship due to a wedding. It was his sister's wedding. But here he is, large as life and raring to go in heat number 3, and the Bellevue crowd really getting into some excellent action. It's Jeremy Doncaster who's coming through. He made a pretty abysmal start. Donkey all over the place. He's back in third. Simon Cross from England, and another man who's got to be considered one of the hot favourites for today. But it's Todd Wiltshire, the Aussie boy, who's making them all sit up and take notice here. I don't think many people would have considered Todd as one of the winners of this particular heat. And look at the lineup, it's a bit like in England v Australia. Once these guys back in Aussie in the winter, it'll be a totally different matter. But in the meantime, it is Todd Wiltshire making a dream debut in this meeting today, and 3 points in the bag for Todd.
And worse than third place, and he's in the blue helmet. Well, Kingsley comes here, and Laura hits the front. So can he stay there? Just stay there by Laura, but he's still in front. Well, the Kingsley comes here today. Dugard just takes over temporarily. Finishes third. He could well be in a run off with Davis. Todd Wiltshire out. White helmet, very, very close. It's a vital races for Laura. He's a man to watch in the blue helmet. And it's getting very frenetic indeed up front there. Wiltshire hits the front now. But Dugard just gets the better of it. Wiltshire and Dugard having a real battle. Is there room for Laura though? And a tremendous race here. There could be trouble here, and Laura come round the outside. And that was a fantastic race there. Well, how do you split them? What a marvellous race of Speedway there, and fantastic effort there by all 3 riders. And Laura knew that was important, but at worst he'll have a run off. Fantastic heat 20 there.
Now, once you got to the overseas final, I mean, the World Championship gets tougher as you go along, because then you start having the Americans came in. This was another tough battle, but you did even better there.
Yeah, it would. Well, the Commonwealth final sort of opened the doors. I didn't know really what to expect, but I'd done quite well there. So I had the ambition to go to the overseas final, which was a tougher round, but I went there with more ambition, and I went there with an ambition to finish on the rostrum, where I did.
Heat 3, Ronnie Corrie from America coming in for the injured Greg Hancock. He's in red. From Australia in blue, Todd Wiltshire. In white, also from America, is Billy Hamill. And on the outside in yellow and black, the very brave Simon Wigg, who's riding with a pin pinned into his broken collarbone in an effort to progress further in the World Championship trail. So a very interesting race indeed. Heat number 3. Ronnie Corrie, of course, appeared in the World Final in Munich last year. He's in gate 1, and Simon Wigg in yellow-black. Watch for those 2 riders as the start. On the way they drive from the start. And who's the first to show his rider in blue? Todd Wiltshire, who's into the first turn. My word, Speedy Todd from the Reading Racers camp in the British League. Dropped the clutch, and he was flying as soon as they entered the first turn. Second place is Simon Wigg, but now coming through in the red helmet colour is Ronnie Corrie. So Ronnie Corrie coming through to second place over Simon Wigg. And Billy Hamill back in 4th place. But my word, Todd Wiltshire from Australia, who's settling very, very nicely indeed in the Stunbright League with the Reading Racers. First season in the top flight, and just look at him setting the pace in heat number 3. Wiltshire in blue, Corrie in red. Simon Wigg still in yellow and Billy Hamill in white with one more lap to go. And what a great start for this rider in his first ever overseas final. If he can hold on for 3 points, it will be a great quest. 21 years of age. Todd Wiltshire in the blue helmet colour coming out of the bunch of ends. It's Wiltshire that wins. Second place is Ronnie Corrie. In third place, Simon Wigg. But my word, a surprise. Well, not really a surprise, but my word, a great scout for him. It's Todd Wiltshire from Australia who gets the 3 points. 2 to Ronnie Corrie and 1 to Simon Wigg. But all eyes are on this youngster from Australia who's set the paces early. Is heat number 3. Wiltshire's the winner of heat number 3. 3 points to him and a good win indeed. Number 9 is next. David Barge red, Lee Adams blue, Mark Loram white, and Todd Wiltshire in yellow black straight into the fray of heat number 9. And away they drive from the start, and the first to show is Lee Adams and Mark Loram. Lee Adams and Mark Loram. Todd Wiltshire out in the dirt, but who's got the drive? It is Mark Loram, and just look at Wiltshire driving underneath it. Wiltshire drives underneath Mark Loram. Loram coming back on him. Oh, well, you've just heard his commitment and his dedication to the sport, and it comes out as early again as heat number 9. Only on 6 points. Todd Wiltshire hits the front after 1 lap of heat number 9. Lee Adams in blue and Mark Loram in white during a battle for second and third, and David Barge out of contention in 4th place. It really was a tenacious ride by Todd Wiltshire on that first lap. Drifted out slightly wide on the first turn, but corrected it, drove underneath Lee Adams, and then took Mark Loram. 1 more lap to go. It's Wiltshire yellow, Lee Adams blue, Mark Loram white in that order. Around the final 2 turns of heat number 9, it's going to be a win for Australians. Todd Wiltshire gets there first. Lee Adams is in 2nd place. In 3rd is Mark Loram. So there we are. Who said he couldn't do it from the back? Todd Wiltshire from Australia getting the 3 points as he wins heat number 9. 2 for Lee Adams and 1 for Mark Loram. So Todd Wiltshire's going into the interval stage on 9 points and unbeaten. Let's take another look as the tapes rise on heat number 9. Wiltshire on the outside in yellow and black. It's Lee Adams and Mark Loram in blue and white respectively. And at that moment in time, Todd Wiltshire is right on the outside and looking for some drive. Still Loram it is. He's overtaken Lee Adams, but look at it now. He's cutting back on Loram at this precise moment. Loram going with the dirties, and just look at Wiltshire drive underneath him. 1 little inch was given and 2 inches was gained.
The meeting, you know, I mean, obviously if I win the meet, I'm going to qualify anyway. It's, you've got to have a good attitude and think positive, and you'll get through. Yeah.
So the final race of this overseas final, Calvin Tatum red, Simon Cross blue, Todd Wiltshire white dropped just 1 point, and Jeremy Doncaster on the outside unbeaten in yellow and black. And is Doncaster going to take the overseas title, or is Todd Wiltshire going to do it? They drive into the first turn. It's Wiltshire and Doncaster, but Doncaster streaks clear. So at the moment it's yellow and black helmet colour of Jeremy Doncaster from England, who's got his nose in front from Todd Wiltshire of Australia, with Simon Cross back in 3rd place, which is very, very important, because if Cross can hold on to this place, that puts him through to the Intercontinental Final at the expense of Simon Wigg, Richard Knight, Mark Loram. But at the moment it's Doncaster who's got his nose in front from Todd Wiltshire, 2nd place. So are we looking at the 1990 overseas champion in the yellow and black helmet colour of Mr. Jeremy Doncaster, 29 years of age, 3rd in the world final in Munich in 1989. The most delighted person there, I can assure you, was Jeremy Doncaster, and he's now setting his sights on Bradford in convincing style as he comes round the bends to take the checker flag. It's Doncaster that wins. Todd Wiltshire is in 2nd place, Simon Cross in 3rd. Doncaster waves to the crowd. The first one to congratulate him is his nearest rival, Todd Wiltshire.
And after that, life still got difficult in the championship, but it also got difficult for you injury-wise, because then you sustained a broken collarbone just before your last qualification round.
Yeah, that's correct. I was 2 weeks prior to my last qualification round in Fjellsted in Denmark. I fractured my collarbone at Bellevue Speedway, and that sort of set things back a little bit. But thanks to a lot of people, the doctors and a good friend Neil Livets, they all got me back on the road again, and we struggled through the Intercontinental Final, but we done it, and we finally made it to Odsal.
As well. Heat number 2 sees Roman Matuszek from Czechoslovakia. He starts off from the inside in a red-coloured helmet, rides for the cabin trapeze, called the Wild Man, and no doubt we'll see why a little bit later on. Ronnie Corey in the blue coloured helmet, he's off gate 2. He's had a fabulous year for Wolverhampton. In fact, he came in as number 1 for the Dynamics Rules this year in the absence of Sam Malenko, and he's lived up to all that. Number 3, Todd Wiltshire, just recently recovering from a collarbone injury. Last year in the National League, this year in the World Final. And on the outside in yellow and black is Rick Miller from the Coventry Bees and the USA. So this time it's gate number 3, and Todd Wiltshire, now he did this in the World Pairs Final. He just shot out of the start. He was in flying form there, and look at this. Broken collarbone or not, this guy is flying right now. Second place is Rick Miller. Miller, as we say, a bit of a surprise qualifier, but determined. He looked very, very good in practice as well, determined to put on a good show here. Loads of Coventry fans as well. Third place right now is the Rocket, Ronnie Corey, but we concentrate on the leader, Todd Wiltshire. Last year with Wimbledon, and he was so desperate to move into the British League at one stage, he wasn't even sure if he was going to come back and race at all in his country. Almost colliding there with Rick Miller. Miller just picking up a little bit too much drive. And a battle at the back now as the Czechoslovakian has gone in front of Ronnie Corey. Into the final lap we go. It's still Todd Wiltshire in front. What a dream debut world final. As we're saying, the World Best Pairs Final. He so nearly took the title along with Lee Adams. And here tonight in heat number 2, ready for the action and the win. And the 3 points that go with it. And as you can hear, a fairly popular reaction from the crowd as well. So 3 very valuable points for Todd Wiltshire, and the ideal start to the meeting for him. So a couple of also rounds, and to be very fair, it's on paper at least between Wiltshire and Castagna, although Casper could be a bit of a danger man here as well. But Todd, he was so delighted to get the first one under his belt and to get a win there as well. Many people really tipping this man to be a world champion of the future. As we say, it's been a long time since the World Final has had a winner on his debut. Could tonight be the night that we see Todd Wiltshire getting the whole of Australia leaping up and down with excitement? We'll have to wait until later on to find out, but certainly if his first ride is anything to go by, he is, as expected, going to be a rostrum candidate. So starting marshal Ray Chinnery, just saying to Tony Casper, you're off gate 1, so can you please move yourself on the inside? Starting so important, as we say, but we've seen on a couple of occasions already tonight that it's not essential. The riders can come through from the back. As we settle down now for heat number 6. And again, the referee is really holding his tapes. You can almost hear the clutches being burnt out. It is a good start for Todd Wiltshire. And Todd, he had the reputation, as we say, of being a bit of a gator. Amanda Castagna, he was so disappointed with his first ride. He's going to be Todd's teammate at Reading. As we say, he's gone back to the Reading races after a spell. He hasn't actually raced in this country at all this year, but he goes back to Reading. He makes his debut at Wolverhampton on Monday. So Wiltshire in front. Second place is Amanda Castagna. Tony Casper in third place. And Tony, as we say, we thought maybe if he got in front he could be a bit of a danger man, but not really expected to trouble the guys on the leaderboard a little bit later on. But look at this, Todd Wiltshire in his first world final tonight, so smooth, so in control, a very upright style. He's got the handlebars set in the way of the riders from maybe 5 or 6 years ago, very far forward. He sits so forward on the bike, but it doesn't seem to stop him winning races as he takes the honours in heat number 6. 2 rides and 6 points for Todd Wiltshire. Could we be seeing an Australian world champion tonight? Certainly the way things look, he is going to be up there with the big boys at the end of the night. Wins, so he's up there on the leaderboard. He joins Per Jonsson on 6 points. So he's got a little while to wait for his next ride. That's James Easter, the Aussie team manager, the man who was, well, he got into a bit of trouble really for selecting Wiltshire. He seeded him through to the Commonwealth final, but Wiltshire has certainly said, thank you very much, I'll take my chance with open arms. And he's come up with the goods on every single occasion. The action continues now with heat number 9, and into the next set of races we've got Todd Wiltshire, unbeaten on 6 points. He starts off from the inside. Kelvin Tatum off 2, is on the drop 1. The world champion Hans Nielsen off 3. And Richard Knight, who could be a bit of a spoiler, he's on the outside. So Todd Wiltshire losing his gating touch there. It is Kelvin Tatum. And Tatum has got the England fans cheering again. Here comes the world champion, Hans Nielsen. Hard, right down the inside. He takes Tatum out a little bit, and Tatum has drifted so wide. That's allowed the other two riders to go through. And Nielsen showing that he is in very determined mood now. He knows he's got to win every single race to retain his world crown. It's Todd Wiltshire in second place. Richard Knight's gone around the outside in third. And Calvin Tatum visibly thrown by. Certainly it was fair riding from Nielsen, a little bit hard though as he swept his way through down on the inside. So it's Nielsen in front, second place for Todd Wiltshire, third for Richard Knight. Calvin Tatum's chances of the world crown are literally going out the window even as we watch this race. Unless something dramatic happens, Nielsen's chances are right back in again, but for Calvin Tatum, the world crown slipping away for yet another year. And it is Hans Nielsen who wins it. Amazing piece of riding from the world champion.
Todd, the World Final is the greatest event in Speedway. It has been for 60 years. The first World Final must have meant something very special to you. Before the meeting, you seem to be the coolest guy in the place.
Yeah, I think that's pretty important. It's a very, very big meeting. It's the meeting of the year, really. It's what the riders all strive to get to. And, you know, a lot of Speedway nowadays is psychological. And if you can go to the meeting and look cool and not sort of have any worries on your mind, I think it's a big psychological advantage over the other riders.
How big was the occasion? How conscious were you that there was a very big crowd and tremendous noise at Odsal in Bradford?
Yeah, it was very good. I was at the stadium at the start of the season. I looked down on the track and I thought, wow, I'd love to be here in September. But and it was sort of funny feeling went through my heart, and it came true, you know, that my dream came true when I was there. And it was a very nervous meeting.
But you made a tremendous start. You won your first two races. You were on the leaderboard. Was that a surprise to you?
I think it was at the end of the day. I was after my third ride. I was on 8 points with Per Janssen and we were leading the meeting, and I sort of thought to myself, wow, this is a bit too early for me to win a World Final. It's only my first attempt and I'm already leading on 8 points. And I had 2 more rides to go, so it sort of got to me there, and I had time to think about what I was doing, and I really knew I was in the big time, so it sort of got to me then, I think.
But you had that critical fourth ride against Per Janssen and American Sean Moran, both of whom clearly were going to be contestants for the title. Tell us about that race.
Yeah, that was the main important race for me. Finishing on 8 after my third ride. Going into my fourth ride, I knew the blokes I was racing, and probably that was the mistake. I shouldn't have even worried about them in the race. But I thought if I could win this race, well, I've got a very good chance of winning the meeting. But I don't know whether I let it get to me, but I made a very bad start, and the 2 boys got away. And once 2 fellas like that get in front of you, it's very, very hard to catch them.
And you still had work to do in that last ride because you had to win it to make sure of becoming the first Australian to finish on the rostrum since 1976.
Yeah, that was great too. I mean, I come to the meeting on the morning and I thought to myself, I've got to be on that rostrum at the end of the night. And I had this last ride of Jimmy Nielsen, and I think if Jimmy would have beaten me home, it would have been a runoff with Hans, Jimmy and myself. So that was a very nerve-wracking race also. But I got it together, and I sort of learned a lesson after my fourth ride, and I thought, hey, let's do it. I've got an opportunity and let's go for it.
Been up there, Todd Wiltshire, deep in thought, the concentration. He knows he must get a win in this race for a rostrum place. But Todd can be so proud. I know he's got his family over here from Australia as well. They'll all be so proud of his efforts here tonight. He has done himself, his club and Australia the world of good, putting the Aussies right back on the map. There's a fair few more where he came from. You've got Lee Adams, of course. He joined Todd in the World Pairs in Landshut in Germany. You've got Craig Boyce, who's going to be moving up into Sunbright British League Racing too, and many, many more coming through. So the Australians can threaten the domination of the Danes. And of course we've got, as we've seen tonight, a fair few Swedish riders coming through as well. So Neil Evans just offering some last words of advice and encouragement to Todd Wiltshire as he prepares to do battle in heat number 19. 2 races left to go in the main meeting, but of course we have a runoff for the world title itself. But a win here from Todd Wiltshire will give him a chance of a rostrum place. Of course, it could get very confusing if Gustafsson wins it and Wiltshire is second. They'll both be on 11 points. Jimmy Nielsen's in there as well. The same can be said for him because a win for Jimmy Nielsen puts him on 11. And the permutations are getting very, very complex indeed. From the inside, it's Zoltan Adoyan. He's in red. Jimmy Nielsen on 8 points. A win here will give him 11. He's in blue. Henko Gustafsson, it's been a fine debut world final for him. He's in white. And Toddy on the outside. Todd Wiltshire, he has got to win for a rostrum place. He's in yellow and black. This is heat number 19. We should watch out for Adorian because he could be a spoiler if he gets in front as well. So we're going to see one of the fast starts from Todd Wiltshire. Certainly he's cut across from the outside. It was Adorian, and he was off the favoured inside gate, but it is Todd Wiltshire from Reading in Australia. The crowd have really taken to this young man. Last year in the National League, this year in the World Final, and look at him go now. So in second place you have got Adorian, and that is quite amazing stuff. But Todd Wiltshire, what can you say about this young man? A future world champion? Well, certainly he has got the temperament, he has got the talent. There goes Jimmy Nielsen now, moving through to take the second place. We'll look for Henrik Gustafsson, he's at the back. And Henko, he started off so well, but the pressure seemed to tell a little bit. Although he seems to be able to line himself up to perhaps squeeze his way by for third place. But it is Todd Wiltshire who's going to have this crowd well and truly on their feet as they applaud the efforts and the performance of this young man on his debut world final. Listen to that crowd, take him across. Todd Wiltshire wins it. He ends up on 12 points and he is guaranteed a place on the rostrum.
And I believe that actually at the interval you moved onto a very, very quiet corner of the pits with your dad, Bill, who was by your side. What did he say to you then?
Well, he's sort of, you know, talked about the past and what I was here for and how I finally made it, because I've had my mother and my father behind me since I was 11-year-old, and we've always been going for one thing, that is the World Championship. And we just sat down and talked about the past, and you know, we're very happy to be where we were, and just think that you know, if I can put a few more races together, I can be where I really wanted to be.
And third place was remarkable, a tremendous achievement in your first World Final. And you seem to think afterwards that really you'd done enough.
Yeah, well, I thought first place would be nice, but at this stage of my career, it's only my first year in international racing at the highest level, and I thought first place might be a little bit too much pressure on me to start with. I was very, very happy with third. As long as I was in the rostrum in my first year, I was over the moon. I didn't need any more pressure than that, I don't think.
But you have done it now. You've been to a World Final. You know what to expect. You know about the occasion and the atmosphere. When do you think you can win?
Well, I'm starting now. You know, I'm starting from now. I finished third. I know I can win a meeting like that. Just as long as everything goes your way on the night. And I'm looking forward to Gothenburg next year, and that's where I'm starting very seriously to win my first World Final.
Now you're only 22. The man who's won more titles than anybody, Ivan Major, was something like 8 years older than you before you won his first title. So, realistically, how many World Championships do you think are within your range?
Well, that is probably a question I cannot ask. You know, it was very late when Ivan Major made his first World Final, and I'm only 22-year-old now, so I've got a lot of time on my side, which is a good thing to have in the back of your mind. So, you know, it just depends on how they go. I would like to win as many as him, but if not, one is my aim at the moment.
And clearly, you understand that motorcycling and has so many opportunities, world championships, and big occasions for promotion and PR. This is obviously very much part of your makeup.
Yeah, that's for sure. You know, it's there isn't very good pay in the speedway racing today. You can't really make it just by riding your motorcycle. You have to sort of get as much promotion as you can, and sponsorships on your side. You desperately need sponsorships to make some sort of money and to make a good living at a speedway. And you know, being 12,000 miles away from home, it's not so easy for me. So you know, that is the main aim for us.
So Muhammad Ali was the man who put boxing on the map. Do you see going into the 21st century that Todd Wiltshire, maybe not quite so loudly, might be the man to put international motorcycling on the map as well?
Yeah, that would be fantastic. You know, it would be very good, and I'd love to, the day I retire, have a name in speedway like Muhammad has in boxing, that's for sure.
So after an evening of sensational speedway, the 1, 2, 3 in the 1990 World Final come on parade to receive the adulation of a capacity crowd. Per Johnson is the champion, Sean Moran is second, but the sensational third place rider is the first time World Final rookie, Todd Wiltshire.
Certainly has been. He's been voted Rider of the Year, and that says a lot for someone who didn't win the World Championship. Been reflective of the sort of season he's had, though.
What kind of future do you see for Todd?
Oh, he's got to have a sensational future, isn't he? I mean, he's got to be one of the best starters around, and at the end of the day, if you can get out of the start, that's still 90% for Speedway. He's not just a starter, but he's, I think, one of the best starters that Speedway's seen for very many years.
Can he be a world champion?
Oh, of course he can. He could have been world champion this year. He could have won the World Pairs, and it probably isn't too far away. He's got a great temperament too. Things don't really ruffle him. Got good equipment, got a good attitude, rides a very good race when he's in front, doesn't try and go berserk or go too quick. And yeah, he's certainly going to be a world champion and in the not too distant future.
It's unbelievable how quick he's come through. I saw him at Wimbledon, 2 years ago. Phil Rising asked me to come and look at him, and I've seen him quite a few times since then. Great style, very clean the way he raced, very, very good starter. And I said the only thing that I could see that he, to me, perhaps lacked a bit of bottle. And I saw him this year at, I think, Manchester in one of the finals, and I mean to say he had a race with Lorem. I couldn't even believe it. And I said to Phil, hey, I was wrong about him. And the world final was unbelievable. And
Can he be world champion?
Oh, 100%. I mean, so they should have run the world's best pairs in Landshut. It was just a little bit of inexperience. And I seen him there, and when there wasn't a lot of people around him before the final, I just said to Todd, hey, all you got to do is produce what you did at Landshut. You can be world champion, and he just about did it. He's probably a little bit early. If he was world champion this year, I think it'd be a bit early for him, because when you are world champion, you've got to produce night after night. I think he's a little bit inexperienced, but I think that's going to come very quickly.
Todd, it's not just been in individual racing that you've taken World Speedway by storm in 1990. You have, in fact, been in the World Pairs Final, where you and partner Lee Adams, the youngest pair in the World Pairs Final from Australia, competed and indeed really set the world on fire. But how did you rate your chances before that first race?
Well, that was very, very exciting meeting indeed. It was first world final for Lee and myself, and we were just sort of had nothing to lose and everything to gain for. So we just went there with an ambition to do our very best. We honestly didn't know where we were going to finish, but at the end of the day, we were very, very pleased with runners-up spot.
But of course, it was quite a tough start, because that very first heat, you tangled with Nielsen. Tell us about that.
Yeah, well, it was our first heat, and we had the two favourites on the line with us, but you know, we didn't worry about that, and we just took it as another race. And I managed to get out the trap quite fast in front of Hans Nielsen, which I was concentrating on very, very hard. And coming around the first turn, Hans picked up a bit of drive, trying really hard to get past me, and he lifted, and it was an accident, and he just ran into me, and the whole race come down.
But in fact, you ended the day with the highest individual score, although you were just pipped by the Danes. Would you put that down just to their superior experience on the big occasion?
Yeah, I think it was. It was a lot of pressure on the last heat. It was anyone could have won it, the Danes or the Aussies, and you know, it was Lee and I made another good start, but the Danes at the end of the day had that little bit more experience. They've got a lot of years ahead of us at the moment, and you know, I think that's what that would really happen. But give us a couple more years and we'll be on top of them.
We're always going to be answered. The top three nations with Todd Wiltshire and Lee Adams, Hans Nielsen and Jano Petersen, and Zoltan Adorian and Sandor Tahini. So it is Australia, Hungary and Denmark to see who takes the 1990 World Pairs Final. In red is Zoltan Adorian, blue Todd Wiltshire, white Hans Nielsen, yellow-black Sandor Tahini. In green is Lee Adams, in blue-white is Jano Petersen. And what 4 laps of breathtakingly Speedway we've got to come to see who it is who takes the 1990 World Pairs Final. Can Australia, can Hungary, not the bench in Denmark. There's a tense rise on heat number 18, and it's going to be the first one there. It's Todd Wiltshire in blue. Wiltshire's there in pole position, but Hans Nielsen comes round him. Hans Nielsen's got the pole position. Can Todd Wiltshire cut underneath him? Nielsen's got it. Hans Nielsen's got the pole position. Todd Wiltshire in second place. Now all of a sudden coming through to join him is Jano Petersen. So all of a sudden all has been lost for Todd Wiltshire in Australia. And now Petersen and Hans Nielsen. I just think that Jano Petersen is making his debut in the World Pairs Final. They've done the business from the back, the Danes, it's fair to say, with Todd Wiltshire making the gate. But Hans Nielsen, the Toyota kid, and Otto Weisschut, Janno Petersen do the miss over Todd Wiltshire. With 1 up to go, and Denmark have come back into the meeting in the latter stages, and that's been enough. And surely now they're going to make it 7 World Pairs finals to equal England. As they round the final 2 bends, Janno Petersen it is, and Hans Nielsen. It doesn't make no difference who wins. It's Hans Nielsen that gets there. Janno Petersen is in 2nd place. In 3rd place is Todd Wiltshire. 4th, Lee Adams. 5th, Zoltan Adorian, and 6th, Sandor Tahini.
So you honestly feel that you and Lee Adams can bring Australia success at the World Pairs level as well?
Yeah, definitely. You know, it's Australia's coming up very, very good now in the young rankings now, and for world team pairs, it's looking very good for us.
Todd, it's been apparent that you seem to have exactly the right temperament for these big occasions. What goes through your mind before, during, and after the meeting?
Well, yeah, a hell of a lot of things really. It's just a great feeling. I've always been wanting to be the best rider in the world, and then when I get to the stage where I am now, I'm sort of racing against the top 10 riders in the world just about every meeting now, and it's my goal to be here, and I'm just so happy, and I just take every meeting as I go day by day, and I try not to worry about the blokes who I race against.
So do you look at the program to see who you're facing?
Well, I generally, in a British League match, for instance, I'll just look at the #1 rider, and I usually know that anyway due to the team that comes, so there's not really anyone else that I tend to look across the line as I'm starting.
Todd, tell us a bit about the bike. What makes it different from a conventional road racing machine?
Well, obviously there's a lot of difference. It's only single cylinder compared to most road machines. They're 4 cylinders. Single cylinder, it's dry plate clutch. Most other engines are oil plated clutch, and it's very highly tuned, and I would say it's very unreliable and very quick for what it is.
What's between the fuel on a normal bike and the stuff you use on a speedway bike? What is the stuff you use?
The fuel we use is racing fuel. It's very highly performance fuel, really. You know, you have to set your carburetors up, especially for the fuel, and also your engines. You just can't use it in an everyday car or an everyday motorcycle compared to normal petrol.
What kind of speeds are these bikes capable of?
Well, they're capable of very, very high speeds. They vary, really. We can gear the bikes to basically any speed you would like, realistically. But I think normal speedway tracks, we get up to about 60, 70 mile an hour sometimes.
And when you consider that the corners are very, very sharp, I mean, that is one amazing speed, really, isn't it?
That is what Speedway's about. It's all technique and control, and being able to slide the bike. And we've got no brakes on those machines, and it's the only thing we can do to stop and to get around the track as fast as we can is to go up the straight. And as soon as we hit the corner, we've got to throw the bike into a slide. If we don't do that, we'll probably go into the fence, and that is a pretty big step. Actually, committing yourself to the bike into the corner. It's just like, I'd say, jumping out of an aeroplane with a parachute.
A lot of falls in speedway, a lot of quite nasty ones. I mean, when you're in a situation you know that you're going to come off, what's going through your mind?
Well, a lot of things go through your mind in a matter of 1 or 2 seconds. Basically, is to get off the bike if you're in bad trouble. Depends on the situation. If you're going for the fence, well, the immediate thing is to get out of the way and let the bike go. But if there's other riders in front of you, you have to avoid them. Well, you've got to do the best thing you can and stick with your bike. Don't let your bike go, otherwise that can injure the bloke in front of you. And hang on to it and get the bike on the ground as quick as possible to slow yourself down.
We know there's no gears in the bike, so what is the purpose of the clutch?
The purpose of the clutch is basically the start. That's all there is. We gear the bike to do the whole lap without having to change gears, and you pull the clutch in, and that is the only control on the bike besides the throttle. As soon as you let that clutch out, bang, away you go. You've got direct drive from your crankshaft to your engine straight to your back wheel, so it makes it very, very powerful and very fast speed pickup.
We noticed riders changing gearings and things. What difference does that make?
It makes the speed and also controls the back wheel spinach. A lot of tracks that get very, very slick by the end of the night, and you get a lot of wheel spin, and a way to stop that and to make the bike drive forward is to go smaller on the rear sprocket. Therefore, it puts a lot more load on the engine, and it kills the engine a little bit, and it makes the back wheel drive.
How many hours preparation a week do you put into getting your bikes ready for racing?
That can vary also. There is a lot of work on the bikes. It takes at least 4 hours to do an individual bike. You strip it, you butt engine, you do the engine every 5 meetings, but besides that you pull the air filter, the clutch, the chains, the carburetor. You basically pull the whole bike down, clean it, jet wash it, and then put everything back together one by one, and it takes about 4 hours per bike, so it really depends on how many meetings you do.
We noticed the tyres are very different to normal road tyres. Why are they shaped the way they are?
Well, they're shaped for maximum grip, of course. You know, the tyres only last us at the most 5 races per night, and then you've got to turn the tyre around, and a lot of the time, if the track's very, very slick, you only get 1 meeting out of the tyre, and they're quite expensive. They're about £15 per tyre now, so it's quite expensive, and the tyres are very, very soft for maximum grip, so that is an important thing also.
So financially, just what does it take to get set up so you're competitive to race in the British League?
Yes, the British League is very hard as far as financial is concerned. You have to have very, very good machinery. You need a very good engine tuner. And a bike to start with would cost you wouldn't get much change out of £4,000. And in Australian money, it's nearly creeping up to 8,000 Australian dollars now, so that is very, very expensive. And then you've got your engine tuning to go on top of that, so it's looking at a very lot of money, and to be very competitive in the World Speedway.
We noticed all Speedway riders have got sponsors' names on leathers, bikes and whatever. I mean, how important are sponsors to the professional Speedway rider?
To a professional Speedway rider, they are everything, really. That's what keeps you going. You cannot do it. It's not an individual sport. You cannot do it out of your own pocket. It's just not possible at the moment. Sponsorship is a very good thing, like engine tuners. You need all sorts of backing, tyres, of course, and all the little bits and pieces like mudguards and handlebars for when you fall off. The bikes bend very, very easy, and you have to repair them a lot.
The inclusion of Todd Wiltshire meant to Reading as a team this year?
Well, he's been the key, really, because he came in on a 5.5 assessed British League conversion from National League, and you know, we put together a good top 5, and we were hoping Todd would be that 6th sort of member, and he's excelled all our expectations, really. I mean, he's developed into a class heat leader.
I'd imagine you would feel that Reading Speedway have had the money's worth out of him already.
Oh yes, I mean, he's young, he hasn't got any commuting, you know, during the season to pay for, so it's got to be a great investment for the future. But he loves it at Reading, and I think, you know, he wants to stay, and we want him to stay, because he's really been, well, the find of the year.
Where do you see his future now?
Well, just as a quality heat leader. I mean, he's come in, and he's thoroughly deserved his world final 3rd place, and you know, he's well in the top 10 in the British League averages, so that shows his consistency. He had a good run at reserve, which helped at the start of the season. I think it helped the people coming up tremendously. Him and Lee had that sort of 2 months at reserves, and that was great for him. But, you know, he was still beating the heat leaders of the opposition during that period, so he was showing his class then. Yeah, I mean, he's going to be doing the Swedish League next year. He's going to get lots of bookings, but I'm sure he'll take it in his stride.
Can Todd Wiltshire become Australia's next world champion?
I think there's every chance. I don't think one can put a date on it, but his debut final, he finished 3rd. A lot of people, it would have sort of just, you know, nerves would have put them halfway down the field. So yeah, he's got to have a great chance. Odsal Stadium in Gothenburg is renowned as a Gators track. There's a long run into the bend. We were talking about it last night with Jan Anderson, and he thinks it will suit Todd because he's fast out, fast up to the bend, and providing he gets there, of course. It's a rocky old path to the world final these days, but yeah, he could do it next year, or he could do it in the next 5 years. One can't really say.
Todd, we've talked about the World Individual Final, we've talked about the World Pairs Final, but you've also inspired a remarkable team success. After 2 seasons with Wimbledon, you joined British League Reading at the start of the season. At the time, not a great fuss was made of it, but you have been their inspiration, guiding them to a success in the Championship, the British League Championship, sponsored by Sunbright, and the Knockout Cup as well. It's been quite a season.
It has. It's when we look back at it now, it's been an absolutely fantastic season for myself and Reading Speedway. It's not many people really expected for us to do the double, but as we were going on through the year, we knew we could do it, and we just kept as a team with a very good team spirit, and we come on top.
So after all the introductions, we're ready for heat number 1 of this Speedway Start KO Cup final between the Reading 4X racers and the Bradford Colite Dukes. That's Todd Wiltshire that we're looking at now. What a season it's been for that young man. After a couple of seasons in the National League with Wimbledon, he made the move to Reading, and he's ended up as world number 3. Now appearing in his first Sunbright British League Cup final. It's Marvin Cox that we're looking at now. Cocker used to ride for near neighbours Oxford. He made the move up to Bradford this year, and he's had a tremendous campaign. One of the top British riders in the Sunbright British League averages this year. Jan Anderson in the blue colour top, a bit of a comeback man for Reading this season. Decided to retire a couple of years back, but when Reading had 1 or 2 problems with riders' availability, Jan Anderson came out of retirement. So always a very tense moment as we wait for the tapes to rise in heat number 1. So the starter indicates that he's quite happy. We'll just wait for the riders to settle, and we get on with the first race of the 1990 KO Cup final from Reading. So the camera concentrates on Marvin Cox, but from the inside it is Todd Wiltshire. Got a reputation of being one of the fastest starters in the world, and living up to that here. So he's a bit more than a starter, this lad. It's Marvin Cox in second place and Jan Anderson in third. So Reading getting off to a fine start. They need about 20 points, to reckon, to take up to Bradford. Bradford is such a strong team on the Odsal track. Of course, this should have been the second leg tonight, but rain halted any chance of the meeting taking place on Saturday at Bradford. So the restaging date is this coming weekend. But it is Todd Wiltshire from Australia who leads it. And I'm sure that he will remember this season with much affection in years to come. As we go into the final lap, it's Wiltshire in front. Second place for Marvin Cox, and Jan Anderson has an important third. And indeed, looks like Toddy's going to start off with a win. And the Reading 4X racers take a 4-2 heat advantage from race number 1. So what a lineup to finish off the meeting tonight. Heat number 15 in nominated riders. Todd Wiltshire, 4 starts and 4 great wins. He's in red. Per Jonsson, world champion in blue. Marvin Cox in white. And Gary Havelock, who's been the best of the bunch, he's in yellow and black. So once again, we concentrate on Marvin Cox, but it is Todd Wiltshire. So for the 5th time tonight, he finds himself up at the front. There goes the world champion, Per Jonsson. After a slow start for the Swede, he's picked himself up and he's looked immaculate. So it's all down to the Collard Dukes now. They really have got to try and overhaul this pairing. As we've seen already tonight, once these two get in front, that is normally the end of it. Todd Wiltshire, he's just picking up where he left off in the world final. He has not put a foot wrong since then. So it is Wiltshire and his partner Per Jonsson, but we watch now as Marvin Cox tries so hard. Somebody's chain guards come off. For Wiltshire, he's set for a 15-pointer if he can stay like this. But really, all credit to Bradford. They put on such a fine show tonight. And it promises to be an excellent second leg at Bradford on Saturday, but it is Todd Wiltshire and Per Jonsson that come across. They take a 5-1, and for Wiltshire, a 15-point maximum as well. Todd Wiltshire. Todd, congratulations. Magnificent 15-point maximum tonight.
Yeah, everything went well tonight. You know, that was the plan tonight. We had to do the best we can against Bradford, and I think we've got 12 points lead now going into the second leg now. So, yeah, that's very, very pleasing for us, and pleasing for myself.
You guys must feel fairly confident of doing well up there, because yourself and Per, you've got very good memories of Bradford.
Yes, I think so. I think I'm looking forward to getting back on the track after the World Final. I haven't ridden there since, so I'm looking forward to that, and I'm sure Per is. I mean, he knows that track better than anyone, really. Jeremy always goes well around there. Amanda was at the World Final also, so he likes it, and the rest of the boys do also. So I think we're going up there with 12 points in the lead, and I think we're going to hang on to them quite well.
So with the couple ready in the bag for the 4X racers, it's really all about salvaging some pride. So Gary Havelock and Marvin Cox for Bradford. The immaculate Todd Wiltshire, who's really only dropped a point or two tonight. And Armando Castagna for Reading, and it is Wiltshire who's miles out in front. We watch for Gary Havelock
have is really about the only rider who could possibly get past Wiltshire once he's in front. Quite an amazing performance, although Bradford can point to the loss of Glenn Doyle. That certainly didn't help their cause. But all credit to the 4X racers that came here tonight to do a job. They've done it to the best of their ability. And no doubt they are pretty happy with all this. But it is Todd Wiltshire. This is going to put him on to 13 points for his efforts tonight. He leads it. Gary Havelock in second place. Marvin Cox in third. And Havelock now trying to go down on the inside. Not really a lot between these two, but Todd Wiltshire's so quick when he gets in front. So for the large army of Reading fans who've assembled on the second band here tonight, it has been a trip well worthwhile. Todd Wiltshire wins it. It's a 3-all in a heat, but the Reading 4X racers, as well as taking the league title, are now the 1990 KO Cup champions. And that caps an incredible season for them.
As you were. Okay, lovely.
Very nice. I'll probably stand with us.
Todd, you've been a winner at team level, you've been runner-up at World Pairs, you've been in the frame in the World Individual Final, but there was one very important award which you won outright yourself. You were voted the Speedway Rider of the Year by the British journalists on a night of some excitement and rejoicing. Just tell us about what that award means to you.
Well, that was a very, very big honour. It was very surprised to receive that. It was really at the end of the year, it's the icing on the cake. It is my own personal World Individual Final, I think. It's a very big trophy to win, and I have a look at the programme on the past winners, and there's some very, very famous names there, and I'm just happy to be part of that now.
Would it be fair to say that while it's always pleasant to win things, it's an even greater pleasure when people give them to you?
Yeah, that's for sure, you know. I tried very, very hard this year to you know, do well for Reading Speedway, and especially myself, and I was very, very happy to receive that award.
And tomorrow, the World.
Yeah, that's for sure.
And in the nominated riders, Sam Amalenko and Ronnie Corey for Wolverhampton, Jeremy Doncaster and Todd Wiltshire for Reading. Of course, tonight worth 3 points for Wolverhampton because they had a draw down at Reading recently, and it means that they pick up the bonus point, and that really could be vital. So Todd Wiltshire continues his very impressive run. Nicely leads it. Ronnie Corey in second. Sam Amalenko trying to come around the outside now of Jeremy Doncaster. Line silver his shoulder. Todd Wiltshire just looking for his teammate, and there goes Sam Amalenko. And just as he does that, he does the hard work, and the bike packs up. So really not the best of luck for Sam. Right, for the Dynetics Wolves, 3 of the most important points of the season have just been gained tonight. The final run in, it's a win for Todd Wiltshire. A heat advantage indeed for the 4X racers, but the final score tonight, Wolverhampton 48 and Reading 42.
Elsie, you've seen him since he was a little boy when he first started riding.
Yes, I have.
Tell us your recollections of his early career.
Oh, well, I suppose he would have been about 10 in the eye to a grasshopper, and yet he could go around and win things without any trouble.
So it must have been a very big moment for you, having seen him as a 10-year-old, to actually seeing him on parade in a World Speedway Final.
Oh, fantastic. Yes, really wonderful.
The odd tear?
Yes. My word, more than one, I can tell you.
But it was a bit of a surprise. He didn't know you were coming to the World Final, that's right,
No,
isn't it?
he didn't know I was coming, but I always said, or he said to me 2 years previous to this, if ever I get in a World Final, Nan, will you come over and watch me? And I said, I sure will, darling.
And I think that in fact he was in bed when you arrived and
That's
you took
right.
him by surprise.
Yes, that's correct.
And ever since he's been in Britain, Todd has always talked to us about one special treat that you make for him, a chocolate cake, I think it is.
Yes, little chocolate cakes, little patty.
So did you have some of those for him after the World Speedway?
No, I didn't. I've never cooked in a gas stove, and had it been electric, I would have.
So that's
had some
a
for
little
him.
treat waiting for him when you get back to Australia.
That's right, my word it is.
And he did terribly well, but I think you'd agree that he hasn't finished yet. He's going to go on and win that
Oh,
title.
he's going to go further yet.
And you're going to be there to see it?
Well, I would love to be, but whether I will or not...
I'm sure you'll make it somehow, Elsie. That then is the sensational 1990 of a young man from Australia called Todd Wiltshire.